Previously on Books vs. Movies Reviews.
So the movie wins for this one, but this review is not completely over. There is still another Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie to review, so stay tuned for... What? What are you... Matt, what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
Matt?
No, really, it's nothing. It's nothing. Let's go to the scoreboard. Bye, everyone.
No, now wait just a minute. Every so often, a book will come along that so inspires those who read it that multiple film adaptations will be made. Even more occasionally, more than one of those film adaptations might be of decent quality. A while back, we reviewed Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, comparing it to the 1971 movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. However, another version of this story came out in 2005, directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp and Freddie Highmore. And even though this version of the story didn't quite reach the popularity of the 1971 movie, it's still a well-known film of decent enough quality, so today we... What, Matt?
No. Seriously. No, it's nothing. Seriously. Okay. Carry on.
Okay. As promised, here's Books vs. Movies' second review of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Well, it seems only fair that the categories be exactly the same for this review as they were for the last one, so we'll start by looking at our two Charlies. As we said on our previous review, Charlie is the quintessential good kid. He stays out of trouble, doesn't touch anything, and gets rewarded in the end. In that sense, this movie's Charlie is much closer to the Charlie in the book.
However, since Book Charlie lost in that review, that's not necessarily a good thing. The trouble with trying to model movie Charlie after Book Charlie is that Book Charlie just isn't all that interesting. He's a pretty bland character and pretty much a passive player in everything that happens. Aside from actually buying the chocolate bar that contains the golden ticket, Charlie really doesn't do anything.
Movie Charlie is a little bit more active than Book Charlie, though. He speaks out, he occasionally argues, and he makes his personality known. And unlike his literary counterpart, he actually has a personality.
The trouble is that his personality is so sanctimonious that, in addition to being incredibly irritating at times, he doesn't even seem like a little kid. And I don't usually have a problem with that, but it's not like he's more intelligent or more mature than we'd expect him to be. It's like he's more... good. It's like they took his personality traits from the book and just made him more extroverted about them. He's kind of like that kid in class who reminds the teacher that she forgot to assign homework. Nobody likes that kid. I think this scene especially shows this. He wins the golden ticket, gets his family all excited, particularly Grandpa Joe, about the prospect of visiting the chocolate factory, and then out of nowhere announces that he's going to sell the ticket because it's the responsible thing to do.
A woman offered me $500 for the ticket. I bet someone else would pay more. We need the money more than we need the chocolate.
I mean, really? First of all, no little kid's gonna act like this. Second of all, this character trait is not the least bit endearing. It doesn't exemplify his goodness, it just makes me want to smack him upside the head for being such a colossal jerk. I mean, look at how disappointed Grandpa Joe is. This kid should feel like an absolute prick. Because he is. And then something like a minute later, some choice words from Grandpa George make him change his mind again, so that whole scene was pretty much completely pointless. And just to be clear, this has nothing to do with Freddie Highmore. I love Freddie Highmore, I think he's great. This has everything to do with the writing. Bland as he is, Book Charlie is at least likable throughout the entire story, whereas Movie Charlie oftentimes comes off as a sanctimonious jerk. Which shouldn't be. But let's take a look at our... I can't.
Let's look at Willy Wonka. As it transpired, Roald Dahl was not at all happy with the 1971 adaptation of his story. Despite it being his screenplay, a lot of changes were made to it in order to make it into a decent movie. Among Roald Dahl's complaints about the film was that it put too much emphasis on the Willy Wonka character and not enough emphasis on Charlie. Well, if that was the case, then he would have hated the 2005 movie because it's all about Wonka.
The filmmakers did not want this movie to simply be a remake of the 1971 film. They wanted it to be another adaptation of the book. Now, the 2005 movie probably deviates from the book about as much as the 1971 movie does, it just does so in different ways. One of the major deviations is in the character of Willy Wonka, who in addition to being given his own backstory, which was never in the book, is also... I mean, my God, look at him! What the hell were they thinking? The hair! The hair!
In that one silver hair, I saw reflected my life's...
Done?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Alright. Although I don't know for sure, I suspect that the movie makers were trying to make the Wonka character as unlike the Gene Wilder character as they possibly could. In that, they most definitely succeeded. This is not a good thing.
The way that Johnny Depp portrays his character is probably the thing about the movie that's gotten the most complaints, simply because it's completely foreign to any other Willy Wonka we've seen. The thing is, though, aspects of his character are pretty close to the Willy Wonka in the book. He is kind of random and out of his mind, like a little kid on a sugar high, and he's not always polite to his guests, particularly the ones that he's pretty sure aren't going to win. In addition, the movie does tell us a little bit more about Wonka. We see his childhood and the series of events that led him to becoming a candy maker.
But while we do learn more about his past, that does not change the fact that this Wonka simply isn't likable. He's rude and socially awkward, and yes, that might be due to his past, but it's not something that we gravitate toward. We're meant to feel sorry for this character. I never did. And yes, the Wonka from the book is crazy, and he can be rude to his guests at times, but the difference is that he can also be very charming when he wants to be. He's a salesman, that's his business, therefore he has to be able to deal with people. I don't think the Wonka from the movie could have even set up a lemonade stand. The Wonka from the book is genuinely happy to see his guests, and he's only rude to them when they become impertinent or rude themselves. The movie Wonka had absolutely no charm, and while his awkwardness did make for some pretty funny moments at times, it was mostly just irritating, and certainly not in the same league as the Wonka from the book.